What's up, MMA fans? Back to do another video. This is a video I started on a few months back and had to step away because, work was tying up most of my time. But it's something that I've been intrigued with for the past while. Of course, many rumors of the WEC adding a flyweight division is something I would definitely like to see. I think there's some great fights at the lightweight divisions. Of course, 135, 145. Both of those divisions have flourished over the last couple of years. And I believe since the WEC added those two divisions, it's really made the divisions kind of mainstream as far as MMA goes. It's opened some of the casual fans' eyes to those divisions. I also think there's lots of fighters that can fight at 125. Lots of people disagree. And I also feel there's lots of fighters at 135 that would love to drop down to that division. It wasn't too long ago. I can remember in the early 2000s when BJ Penn and Jens Pulver fought for the title the first time. Many fans were questioning, even if the lightweight division should be justified to be on pay-per-view. The UFC recently only really brought their lightweight division back, in recent years. It wasn't too long ago and they didn't even have a lightweight division. At that time, in the early 2000s, Shooto, of course, was blossoming in their lightweight fighters, and that's where a guy had to go to see the great lightweights fight, was, some of the Asian cards. I remember King of the Cage and the Gladiator Challenge in the early 2000s showing some fights at that flyweight division. Sean Ramage is the guy that kind of sticks out to me. He's one of the fighters, we watch on a regular basis. I guess recently we had one of the biggest flyweight fights in North America. John Dodson lost to Pat Runes, at UWC. I think it was the last card in September or October, I'm not sure. You look at the history of combat sports, the smaller fighters have always put on better shows. Look at boxing, for example. Manny Pacquiao started at 112. We also had Marco Antonio Barrera, a tremendous, entertaining fighter. Floyd Mayweather started his career at 130. We also had the late Diego Corrales fought at 130. Eric Morales, another guy, just tremendous fighters. Typically in combat sports, like I mentioned, the lightweight fighters are the most entertaining. Now in this video, it's probably going to take two parts, and it's going to be, of course, flyweight prospects. I'm not going to mention any top ranked fighters you're going to see on different websites. Won't be mentioning Jacier da Silva, won't be mentioning Yamaguchi, Ryuichi Miki, Pat Runes, John Dodson, none of those guys. I'll try to keep it on a prospect level. The NCAA at all levels has a 125-pound division. Greco-Roman wrestling and freestyle Olympic wrestling also have a 121-pound weight class. Muay Thai has a ton of fighters in the lighter divisions. I think there's a definite opportunity there for lots of fighters to transition over and into MMA. So without further ado, let's begin our prospect list here. First guy I'm going to talk about is Jessie Rugerman. He's 9-0, 5 submissions, 5-5, 5'5", 125 pounds, 24 years old. He's an American fighter. I think he has a fight coming up with top-ranked John Dodson later in this month, I believe. I'm just not sure of the card or the date. Fights out of the MMA Institute with the Baker brothers. He's got a big win over featherweight fighter Brian Goldsby, a fighter who just defeated Jeff Curran at Bellator 14. Didn't start training MMA until 2008. His first fight came after 1 month of training, and after 8 months of training, he had a full 5 professional or amateur fights in, all fights of which he won in dominating fashion. 2-time state wrestling champ, solid jiu-jitsu. He has fought at 135, but 125 is his division. It's where he belongs, and it's where he's interested in fighting in. So all in all, if you include his amateur and professional fights, he's 14-0. Definite prospect. Second guy I'm going to talk about is Kevin Bellingham. 5-0, 2 submissions, 5'5", 125 pounds. 24 years old. Fights out of the Philippines. And for those of you who don't know, the Philippines has a deep group of mixed martial artists. They have a ton of flyweight fighters, a ton of pinweight fighters, if you can believe it. Definitely, if you're interested in seeing some different athletes out there, take a look at some of the MMA fights and shows in the Philippines. preferably the Universal Reality Combat Championship. It's one in which Kevin Belong is the champion of. He fights at a Lake Wushu, well-rounded, excellent conditioning, surprisingly good grappling, and good striker. A definitely bright future for this young fighter. Third guy I want to talk about is Mikey Lovato. Fights at Albuquerque, New Mexico. 10-1 as a professional, 6 knockouts, 2 submissions, 5'2", 125 pounds. Albuquerque kickboxing, MMA, and West Mesa. Training for 5 years. Got a wrestling background, and like many other wrestlers, when his wrestling career finished, he had nothing to do. So he made the transition to MMA. He's working on his striking under Ray Lee. He stated he would like to fight the WEC at a new flyweight division, or even at 135. If that was the only offering was for him, he would definitely fight at 135. So gotta watch out for Mikey Lovato. Next guy I'm going to talk about is probably one of the most tremendous prospects there is. He's an older guy. Alexis Villa. Real third name, I guess, would be Perdomo. 6-0, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. 39 years old, but plans on being around for a long time. Cuban wrestling background. 1996 at the Summer Olympics, he won a bronze medal in the 48 kilogram freestyle light flyweight division. 1995, he won a gold medal at the Pan American Games 48 kilogram freestyle division. Trains at smsp.tv. Trains at American Top Team. Wrestled at Michigan State, of course, and he did spend some time training with Greg Jackson, Rashad Evans. Amazing wrestling credentials and very technical. So definite guy to watch out for, Alexis Villa. Next guy I want to talk about is Daniel Terrell. 6-1-1, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions, 5'5", 125 pounds, 28 years old. Brazilian fighter, trains at a Fabricio Jiu-Jitsu. His only loss was his qualification to top rank Matsuya Abe. World class BJJ. He has a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu title, and he has been successful so far in his career and could have a bright future if he dedicates himself to it. Could definitely be a top guy if he puts the time in. Next guy I want to talk about is Darryl Montague, American fighter, 6'1", 2 knockouts, 3 submissions, 125 pounds, 21 years old. His only loss was a war to Pedro Peralta, a guy we'll talk about here soon. Trains at a Millennium MMA. Of course, great training partners, for the lighter guy like Manny Tapia, Javier Vasquez, Charlie Valencia, to name a few. Recently won the 125-pound championship at Gladiator Challenge. Decent boxing, of course, solid wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and like I said, at 21 years of age, a very bright future, definitely. Next guy I want to talk about is Steve Abate, 32 years old, wrestled at California State University from 1998 to 2002, All-American honors 4 times, 3-time national 125-pound champion. His career record for wrestling was astonishing. 144-4, 46 pins, just amazing. Undefeated his last 2 seasons. Freestyle wrestler, silver medal at the 2004 Olympic Games. And he was also named as one of the 15 greatest wrestlers in NCAA history. So that's saying something in its own right. Nominated to the 75th NCAA Anniversary All-Wrestling Team, another amazing accomplishment. And he's training at the Arena MMA Gym, Diego Sanchez, Ronnie Yaya, KJ Nunes, Alexander Ribeiro, and Fabricio Camo. So he's got a pretty talented group of guys to train with. Hasn't fought any fights yet, but there's a good chance he could be very dominant in that division. We don't know what his striking is like, but we've seen so many wrestlers successfully make the move over to MMA. I mean, look at Phil Davis, what he's been able to do his first couple of fights in the UFC, and of course he had a few fights before making it to the UFC, but he's been pretty dominant. So many guys, so many wrestlers that dominate the sport. So a definite prospect for that division, one of the best wrestlers to come out of the U.S. Steve Abate, a guy to watch out for. Stay tuned for part 2 of the video.